traveling around the country talking to the radio announcers, the church people and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body. If he woke you up this morning and started you on your way. But I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how it started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955, trying just to get dignity, trying to get respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King say, God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. It's been so good to me. Then I see as Dr. King went on, another man stepping to the forefront by the name of John F. Kennedy, who rose up and said, let's not stand back. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's wait for a way out. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He said, don't us gravel and don't us moan, because God done smile on us. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. One more time. I want to say it real slow. I'll say God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Pick it up. God has smiled on me. I feel it. Then I went on by backstage at the Apollo Theater and I saw a man come out. They call him the King of Soul, James Brown. And James Brown said, Reverend, don't you worry. I started out as a shoe shine boy. I started out as a convict. I started out uneducated. But I learned to sing my song. And I sung it all over the world. I told him it was a man's world. I told him about the big payback. I told him Papa got a brand new bag. And all over the world, they can hear my voice. But Reverend, don't you frown. Don't you bow your head. Tell him what you told me, Brother Brown. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Yeah. God has. I want to scream, y'all. I want to scream, y'all. God has smiled on me. He has set me free.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They called me everything but a child of God.
Racial discord, a blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
and I had to know,
yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are, and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of the stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people.
September 18th. Do you know what time it is? It's Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, all fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. Good morning to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View. And welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. For the next 3 hours, you can join the conversation. All you have to do is call us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can go to nationalactionnetwork.net, nationalactionnetwork.net, and go to our live stream, and you can watch the show and put a message in the message board, and I'll read it on the air. And I see the mayor's been on message board for a minute. He put in, it's policy day, and he knows on Thursdays we have much of the show on policy, discussing policy so you can understand policy, so you can weigh in and give your views on policy and your expertise. He says it's policy day. Good afternoon, my shepherd. That's the mayor, Mayor Rodney Jones, Queensbridge houses in Queens, New York. And James Thomas is saluting him, saying, Mr. Mayor is in the house. And James Thomas is saying, Todd better come with common sense on policy day, or the Rev is going to send him back to the history books. All right. Well, Todd usually calls on policy day, so we'll see what he's got to say. A lot to talk about. Dr. Jamie Pleasant, PhD, saying keep on keeping on, Reverend Al, from Atlanta. Thank you, Dr. Pleasant, there in Atlanta. Thank you for being part of radio audience family today. Several things that I want to talk about and get you to give me your views. First and foremost, in the immediate headlines is the indefinite cancellation of Jimmy Kimmel Live on ABC. And Disney's ABC pulled Jimmy Kimmel's Live indefinitely. Now, I'm host TV shows, so I know what indefinitely means, that it may mean you never come back. And it's all is in response to the host, Jimmy Kimmel, criticized Republicans' response to Charlie Kirk's killing. The FCC chair, Brendan Carr, threatened action, and X-Star Media Group said its ABC affiliates would preempt the show. And then, of course, when they suspended it or said it was indefinite, Trump saluted it. Now, let me explain something so you understand the deck of cards here. Nexstar which is the ones that informed ABC that they were going to preempt this show. You must understand, ABC as a network, CBS as a network, NBC as a network, some of the local markets are picked up, and they run the network on their station. So you may be in Atlanta, you may be in Chicago, you may be in any city listening to us, and you hear it or see a show on a local affiliate that is broadcasting from the national network. If you have a distributor or owner of a lot of local stations like Nexter, and they say, well, we're not carrying you no more, we don't like what Jimmy Kimmel said, then that means the people in those particular markets cannot see the show, because ABC doesn't own the stations in the market. They own the network, and they need the local owners. So when Nexstar and other owners, probably right-wingers, started telling ABC they're not going to run the show, ABC said, oh, we don't want to lose the market, we'll cancel the show indefinitely. It's about economics. Why didn't the local stations want to lose the whatever in their market? Because they got advertisers in that market. So they're going to call the advertisers and say, we canceling Jimmy Kimmel. You buy your advertiser during his show, you can stay right there. We going to cancel that, so we're all right with Nexstar. And the ripple effect made the network just say, we just take it off, period, because we don't want any of our local affiliates to start moving away, because then all of us are in trouble. This is how you walk to an authoritarian state, where they're able to use some people that have ownership and or influence or both over public opinion, get them in positions of power, and when they say, oh, you said something we don't like, we can pull a cord and silence you. Now, remember, yeah, that's because they got money. And they not only have money, they have political connection because they got their FCC license. Whether it's Nexstar, the local guys, whether it's ABC, the national guys, they get that cleared through FCC, Federal Communications Commission. Well, the Federal Communications Commission is appointed by the president. So the chairman of FCC now is talking about it wasn't freedom of speech, or he didn't like what was said. And if you're trying to get a merger, like ABC was in the middle of negotiating a merger, like you saw the merger negotiations with ABC and CBS was going through a merger. Those mergers has to be approved by FCC, which is controlled by the president. That's why they said, we make money or don't make money. We deal in the millions with Jimmy Kimmel, but we ain't gonna lose our license because then we're out of business. That is where Trump has this country blackmail. That is why I stay on y'all every day that didn't vote, because you empowered him to do it. He knew if he got back in and he could be the one to appoint FCC, that he could therefore put all of the media in a position where y'all can play me if you want, but I will fire or have fired your host. Or they're going to have to be real careful how they approach me. We are in the belly of the whale. We're not going to get to an authoritarian state. We're there. You got Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert both gone in the same year for the same reason. Both huge nighttime hosts. And you talking about what may happen. It's happened, and it's going to keep happening. That's why I say we don't have the luxury of sitting down. We got to vote, we got to march, we got to organize, we got to talk, we got to get on media that was available to us. They are stripping us of our rights one by one. Whether it's redistricting state by state, redrawing the lines where you won't have black majority districts, whether it's the big, beautiful bill cutting SNAP and cutting other programs that aid people like Medicaid, or whether it's FCC regulating what you're going to hear on the air. You can't even crack a joke now. Fired. People making millions of dollars, bringing in millions of dollars in advertising dollars. Don't matter. I got to protect my license. That's where we're at. So if you know somebody that voted for Trump or that didn't vote at all, call them during the break and tell them, I hope you're proud of yourself because you sponsored this. Now the question is, how you going to help us get out of this? Because we're already there. He's over in England, he being Donald Trump. And even though the Prime Minister of England saying, well, we're getting ready to recognize Palestine as a state, as a country, because we need a two-state solution. Trump even there, right there in the man's estate, said, yeah, well, I disagree with that. So he's not willing to see Palestine as a state. So how are you going to get a two-state solution? That's why we're raising these issues. So that's just one part. There's a lot to talk about today. I've been in touch with Ben Crump and the family. We're waiting to see what the autopsy brings us back with this young man found hanged in Mississippi. And so much going on. So let me take my break and let's start getting it on. It is Keeping It Real with Al Sharpton, and certainly today, if there ever was a day for Policy Day, is today. Join the conversation, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or go on the message board at www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Let's get ready to take our break, and we'll be back right after this. No justice, no justice, no justice. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gonna stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people go, go. We gonna shine up and shade. Give me a papa go rain, make the heavens. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water, children.
I want to ask you a question, and that is, what is in your life's blueprint? This is the most important and crucial period of your lives, for what you do now and what you decide now at this age may well determine which way your life shall go. And whenever a building is constructed, you usually have an architect who draws a blueprint. And that blueprint serves as the pattern, as the guide, as the model for those who are to build the building. And a building is not well erected without a good, sound, and solid blueprint. Now, each of you is in the process of building the structure of your lives. And the question is whether you have a proper, a solid, and a sound blueprint. And I want to suggest some of the things that should be in your life's blueprint. Number one in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth. And always feel that your life has ultimate significance.
Thank Charlie King, Dr. Richardson. Most of all, let me thank Reverend Al Sharpton for bringing us all here together today in the Urban Action Network. I am proud to be a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America. But I am mindful that I wouldn't be here if it had not been for Reverend Al Sharpton running for president, and Carol Moseley Brown running for president, and Jesse Jackson running for president, and Shirley Chisholm running for president. They paved the way, and I stand on their shoulders. And I'm proud to acknowledge that debt that I owe. I appreciate Reverend Sharpton for being a voice for the voiceless and a champion for the dispossessed. And as we saw last week, he's still on the front lines, fighting a good fight. And we are thankful for his energy and his willingness to challenge the conventional wisdom. I'm also thankful that Reverend Sharpton has built this organization because what he understands is that change in America doesn't happen from the top down. Change happens from the bottom up. Change happens when millions of voices set the agenda and hold those in power accountable.
Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is squarely on your shoulders and in your hand. And if you want to defer and give your life choices to others, that's on you. If they have any sense at all, they will be so busy trying to conduct and properly guide their life, they will not have time to try to major in your life. Hey, what's up? They're doing, thank you. They're doing What's on Your Mind? Yeah. All right, then, we got a birthday this week. I got to talk about that.
Oh, no.
Happy birthday this weekend. And Carrie White's birthday, right?
Corey's birthday's today.
Yeah, and I got tell Reverend Bird be ready Daniel 5th chapter I want him to read. And I'm ready. Got a message from today, so we'll be on the air in what? Half hour.
Or a half hour.
You should tune in to the WBLS 107.5 FM and National Impact and www.nationalnetwork.net. All right, I'm ready.
Oh.
Make sure you operate on time or I'll tell them how old you are. Oh, do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited, and you should be excited too. Turn on WBLS 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you, and if you want to, you can come to the House of Justice and be there live, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We kick off at 9, and we don't stop until we deal with getting our people energized. Sharpton, and we're back 1-877-532-5797, and we open up talking about the indefinite suspension of Jimmy Kimmel after Stephen Colbert. We're seeing that freedom of speech is not only threatened, but it's being taken away, and that's clear. We see with the CDC official that's been testifying before Congress that we have a health concern about vaccination that Robert Kennedy fired her about. We see as Donald Trump, the president, is in England,
refusing to even acknowledge that he will recognize Palestine as a state when he's standing there with the Prime Minister of England and say they're about to do the same. They're about to recognize Palestine. So much going on this policy day we do once a week. So much. And you can fool yourself all you want. Saying, man, all that, I'm going to just live my life. I'm not even going to deal with it. Well, you can't live your life independent of all this stuff going on. If a pandemic break out because of no vaccination, that's going to stop you from you so-called living your life. If they go to war with Russia over this Ukraine, that's going to affect your losing your life. If you deal with freedom of speech taken, that's going to shut your mouth and affect your life. So act like you ain't got nothing to do with it. Because you do. Let me say by way of announcements, you really need to watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton this weekend. I'm going to be dealing with freedom of speech. I'm going to be dealing with the whole question of how to respond and not respond, in my opinion, to the killing because of killing of Charlie Kirk, because they'll be doing his funerals and memorials over the weekend. And I'll be on 5 p.m. Eastern time, both Saturday and Sunday, dealing with all that. I think it is appropriate to wish people's families condolences. I wish the family of Kirk my condolences and prayers. Even though he was a critic of mine, has nothing to do with he had the right to live. But I'm also saying at the same time, you cannot tell people they can't critique people without robbing that from everybody else. Kirk said Martin Luther King was getting more than he deserved. And nobody fired him for saying that. Nobody defunded his group for saying that. I'm going to deal with all that on Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. Then you in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Network. Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice, 145th Street, Lenox Avenue in the village of Harlem. 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. I'll be there this Saturday. We really, really strengthen ourselves, bond ourselves, give ourselves a common sense of service and purpose. So you need to be in the house. You owe it to yourself. 145th and Lenox in the village of Harlem. And then you that are not in the New York area can watch it live on Impact Television. And then, of course, the Triumph Awards. We are about 3.5 weeks away. Our annual Triumph Awards, which is the cultural awards National Action Network gives out every year. And this year we have, it gets better every year. We had Patti LaBelle and Robert De Niro and Wynton Marsalis last year. Packed the big room. We're going back in the big room. We're honoring in the big room this year Kenneth Babyface Edmonds. Babyface will be there to get his award and say some things. Then we're honoring iconic Stephanie Mills. Then we're going to honor my colleague at MSNBC, the host of The Beast, Ari Melba. He shifted the culture and how we handle these talk shows and combine contemporary rap. He loves that. He's a cultural instructor. Go on to him. And, of course, our gospel honoree will be Vincent Mohanan. and salute. And we will also Maddox and Chesley Maddox Dorsey, entrepreneur who's protected black communications. With her investment and her involvement. So make sure you call or register right now while I'm on break. It's free, but you just register and we take care of your ticket, get it to you. It's free. Be there that night in the house for this great cultural night. It's also salute my birthday. My birthday is that week, so we do the big birthday that night. Come wish me a happy birthday and watch the awards ceremony. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or go to the toll-free number 1-877-626-4651. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
What do we want? What do we want? We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom, let my people go, go. We gonna shine and the shade. Give me a papa God rain, make the heavens. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water, children.
Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to stay
62 years ago today, Martin marched in Washington. 62 years later, the dream is not dead.
I'm here because I must be here. Democracy is not there for the pig, and you have to fight for democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
Is the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street. Come on. Pray. reduced a lot of our ministry to entertainment. Or who can hoop the loudest, who can run around the pulpit more, or who got the dresses fancy, and don't deal with the ministry. Jesus healed more people than he preached to. Because there is in the healing your message. They followed Jesus because he healed a woman with the issue of blood. They followed Jesus because Jesus saw a blind man named Bartimaeus. A lot of us would have dismissed him because he was a broke, poor, homeless, a blind man. How you know he was broke, Reverend? Because they say he was begging. But he understood what he was doing because he heard that Jesus was passing by. And when Jesus got close enough, he said, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. They kept telling Jesus, let's go, look, we got a schedule, we got people to see. He said it again, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. And when he did it the third time, Jesus stopped and went and healed the blind man. Now, what I get out of that scripture, Bishop Daughtry, is that the blind man told Jesus, if you are who you say you are, you're going to stop and see me. And if you stop and see me, you will confirm who you are. But when we are pastoring and leading in communities with bad health, we cannot be the followers and representatives of Jesus and walk by people that are sick and we not be part of making them well. For 90 days, they're going to do a study of what companies have pulled out of DI and what companies have a small margin of profit. And we in 90 days are going to announce the 2 companies that we're going after. And we're going to ask everybody in this country, black, white, brown, gay, straight, woman, trans, don't buy where you are not respected. Donald Trump can't make us buy your stuff. The Senate can't make us buy your stuff. In the name of Dr. King, we're going to do what Dr. King did. Trump tweeted the other week, I'm a con man. Don't call me the coin man. I'm going to stop the coins from dropping in the wrong place.
Rev, you know, you were right there
From the beginning.
with the stuff that was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, but I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. We've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right.
I am your host,
Let me ask a question.
Reverend Al Sharpton, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Let's go right to the phones. Let's start in St. Louis, Missouri with RT. RT, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Yeah. 2 comments about the firing of Jimmy Kimmel. The first thing is that Charlie Kirk, he stood for freedom of speech,
right?
But yet you're having people every day who are being fired or suspended off their job for exercising the very thing that Charlie Kirk stood for. That's point number 1. And secondly, when it comes to the firing of Jimmy Kimmel never said anything about the death of Charlie Kirk or Charlie Kirk personally. What he said was that Mega was upset that the shooter of Charlie Kirk wasn't someone other than one of their own. But on the flip side of that, Reverend Sharpton, a day before, the day after Charlie Kirk was killed, President Trump stood right at the Oval Office, and even before there was an investigation, he said that the left was responsible for the political violence in this country. So what Jimmy Kimmel said directly ties into what the president said.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think you make two excellent points. One is that it was clearly a position of Kirk himself that defended free speech, and that he was known, as much as I disagreed with him on his positions and his policies, he was known at certain lectures to just tell people, come on up and ask what you want, debate me if you want. He believed in that. So that's one. You make an excellent point. Second, the president started attacking the left wing and these left-wing maniacs and name-calling, which nowhere near was what Jimmy Kimmel did. So that is why, is this really about Kirk, who was for free speech? Or is this really about continuing to see how much they're going to get away with in terms of infringing upon people's rights, freedom of speech rights, civil rights, women's rights? Is this all about seeing how far they can push the envelope and what we going to do or not do? And I think that that's the question I ask, because they must be saying, well, let's weigh the reaction. And a lot of us don't react. I mean, just 2 weeks ago, today, we was marching, thousands of us on Wall Street, now getting ready to go at these corporations. But I'm on calls with other civil rights groups, and they talking about we can't just use 60s tactics. First of all, what's 60s tactics? To march, to boycott, to go at these corporations, and to vote is not about a date. It's about what works. And if you want to talk about 60s tactics, what they did in the 60s is what got us the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act of 65, the Open Housing Act, the 68. Maybe we do need to do what they did because they got something done. We got Donald Trump on the new tactics. So, yeah, we have more technology. We have more ways of communicating. We have more ways of polling. But what are the results we're getting with it? So we need a combination of old school and new school. Oh, pardon me, I don't know if there's a new school. There's a new rap, but I don't know where the new school is. Let's go to Ray in Cincinnati, Ohio, to Buzz. Ray?
Yes, sir, Rev. Thanks for taking my call. Your opening monologue where you were explaining how the FCC works with the networks and what they put on, kind of hard for me to follow, but I was following it, and to me it seems like Trump put his guy in the FCC chair, I guess, whoever calls the shots, and they wanted a reason to get Colbert, and they wanted the reason to get Kimmel off the air, and using Charlie Kirk was their reason. Doesn't make sense. You know, they didn't do anything wrong, but because the Republicans, the MAGA Republicans, are in control, you know, and which means that Mitch McConnell and the Republicans let it happen. If everybody would stand up to Trump, then all this wouldn't be happening. But for some reason, they're just scared. This to me, this was a bully tactic. And what you just said, it's about control, you know. But the thing is, they're only in control for another 3 years, and then they're gone, you know, unless another Republican gets back in. And so it's just a bully tactic, you know. But what I don't understand is why can't ABC, CBS, and NBC get together and stop all this nonsense?
Well,
you know, if it wasn't for that merger that ABC is going through, should they have bullied ABC into taking Kimmel off the air, in your opinion?
If it hadn't been what?
For that merger they're trying to go through?
I mean, I could only give an opinion. I think that it had some bearing in it. I can't say I know for a fact. I think that the merger may have had some bearing, but I certainly think the fact that some of their affiliates started saying they were going to suspend had more impact because that affects their distribution and their advertising dollar.
Right. So it's all about the money, basically.
Well, you can't
Money
stay
and
in
control.
business without the money. They can't stay on the air without the money. They can't pay payroll without the money. They can't cut the switch without the money.
But I think all these companies and these businesses and these lawyers, they're just giving in to Trump. Those federal dollars, they control a lot in this country, and without it, it's almost like, okay, without the help of the federal, the money coming from the federal money coming in, a lot of these businesses wouldn't be in business. We've learned a lot since Trump got in, is who's getting federal dollars and
Right.
who's not.
That's right.
All right, Rev, thanks.
All right, thank you for your call, Ray. Let me go to Khalib 2 in Ohio. Khalib 2.
Yes, sir. How you doing, Rev? That's Lincoln Heights, Ohio, right outside Cincinnati.
Okay, good.
Yeah, when I heard you mention your award show, Babyface, you're going to honor a lot of people. Do you give a Lifetime Achievement Award, sir?
Yeah, we do. We do that at the convention in April.
Okay, if you don't mind, I want to mention somebody, and he's from Brooklyn, New York, and he's been singing since the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, all the way up to the present day. Little Anthony and the Imperials.
Wow.
Like
I remember Little Anthony and the Imperials. Wow.
Right, but seems like nobody ever honored this man. I don't call BET, I don't call MTV, Soul Train Awards. Nobody honored this man, and he's still out there, Rev.
I got it. You're going to hear about that. We do the Lifetime Awards in April at our national convention, and I just wrote that down. I'm going to see if we can find Little Anthony. I remember Little Anthony Imperials, and you're right. I think he's still out there doing shows.
On PBS, he's still out there, sir.
All right. That's a
and nobody
great...
ever gave him an award.
And let me tell you something. I do it because we were shaped culturally, and therefore our mentality and spirituality by a lot of these people that got us through hard times.
Yep.
And we need to, I can't emphasize enough to the young people that work with me on National Action Network, or young people that work with me at the Politics Nation staff, that knowing and preserving your history is strengthening you. You're not doing them a favor. They've run their race. But you don't even understand what is in your mind and what is running through your veins if you don't understand what produced you and motivated you in the first place. And the way they can keep people a slave. One of the first things they did with slaves is cut off their history. Because if you don't know who you are, you don't know your value. And you don't know the sense of destiny that you're aligned with, because you cut off. You think the whole world started with you, and that's ignorant. Lil Anthony and people like that gave us cultural stuff that got us through worse times than this. The reason why a lot of us freaking out over Trump is because we don't have that kind of cultural balance that we had, that Marvin Gaye and James Brown and Aretha and them gave us, because now that's gone. And we are told, don't bring that back, that's old school. No, that is our roots. And let me tell you something. I said on Saturday morning at the rallies, the only thing that urinates on their roots is a stray dog peeing on a tree. If you're a dog, you pee on your roots. If you are someone that believes in fertility, you strengthen your roots. You water them. You salute them so you can grow stronger. Thank you for that. Little Anthony, I got it. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, be right back.
March in Washington. 62 years later, the dream is not dead. dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street. I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talent in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones. And too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they gotta open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their home, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about it is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old.
11 years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughters started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready, or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network, and others, the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey Get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself.
Let me thank Charlie King, Dr. Richardson. Most of all, let me thank Reverend Al Sharpton for bringing us all here together today in the Urban Action Network. I am proud to be a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America. But I am mindful that I wouldn't be here if it had not been for Reverend Al Sharpton running for president, and Carol Moseley Brown running for president, and Jesse Jackson running for president, and Shirley Chisholm running for president. They paved the way, and I stand on their shoulders. And I'm proud to acknowledge that debt that I owe. I appreciate Reverend Sharpton for being a voice for the voiceless and a champion for the dispossessed. And as we saw last week, he's still on the front lines, fighting a good fight. And we are thankful for his energy and his willingness to challenge the conventional wisdom. I'm also thankful that Reverend Sharpton has built this organization because what he understands is that change in America doesn't happen from the top down. Change happens from the bottom up. Change happens when millions of voices set the agenda and hold those in power accountable.
One of the early movies, he had my name, then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question.
Yep.
What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the head on.
Yeah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. We went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike.
Keeping it real.
My brother right here.
I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Don't forget Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Saturday and Sunday, we've got a lot to deal with. Got people from Congress, some governors, want to deal with these national takeovers. I want to, black mayor cities, want to deal with this freedom of speech. How are members of Congress going to back up this whole thing of companies that are merging being blocked if they don't fire people that's against Trump? It's going to be 2 nights you're going to want to watch. This Saturday and Sunday, Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. If you're in the New York, New Jersey, or Connecticut area, meet me at the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice in Harlem, 145th Street, Lenox Avenue, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., or you can watch it live from anywhere in the world on Impact Television or live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. Let's go to Sky in Virginia. Sky? Is Sky there? All right, I don't hear Sky. Let me go to Tommy in Chicago, Illinois. Tommy.
A pleasant afternoon to you, Reverend Sharpton, and especially to your listening audience. So we done went from a Black Hawk landing in California to a death that tens of millions of Americans didn't even know who this person was, to bomb threats being issued to communities that had absolutely nothing to do with it, to once again the symbolism that has haunted this nation of individuals being hung from a tree, to this individual being taken off of the air 8 months into 4 years. And if you don't understand what your no vote, what your rabbit hole, what your condescending comments have brought us to, this is a moment and a time for us to start the League of Human Beings. That is the self-examination of liberty and justice instead of just us. There's absolutely unequivocally no reason why in 2025 that what started out to be supposedly illegal activity of individuals entering this country turns out to be a complete genocide of its cultural history that clearly shows that whatever is going on right now is the moment in time that individuals clearly get to see the rats, the roaches, and more importantly, any time the individual who supposedly sits at the pinnacle of power would just simply come on and flat out lie to the entire Commonwealth of the United States of America and say it is the radical left when everything that is happening right there where you live, and you're not going down there to straighten that mess out. Howling, screaming, and all the rest of it ain't going to save you now. Self-evaluation and an understanding that if you don't let individuals like Reverend Al Sharpton and whoever the hell else has a common enough sense to be able to address this situation. Lord have mercy. Goodbye, Rev.
All right, thank you for your call. Let me stay in Chicago. Let's go to Andre J. Andre J., you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hey, good evening to you, Reverend.
Good evening.
To the listener. Hey, Reverend, when Lori Lightfoot was in office here as the mayor, she cut $80 million from the police budget. Well, here now, I looked at it yesterday, and we having a budget crisis in Chicago again, and Larry Snelling, the police chief, is trying to avoid cutting any more cuts from the police department. He didn't say it wouldn't happen. He's trying to avoid it. So, Rev, to me, it looks kind of bad when you didn't want any help from the National Guard to come here, but now you turn around behind that and say you're having a budget crisis, you may have to cut the police. Now, keep in mind, I wasn't for the National Guard the way Trump implemented, but if they had reached out to Mayor Brandon Johnson and had a collaboration and talk with them and say, what do you need help, and send them that way, I was for that, but not just sending them here just, so they can do something.
Well, isn't part of the reason that they were cutting some of the Chicago budget, and I might add budgets around the country, is because the federal budgets to those cities have been cut?
Well, I don't know. I'm going back to Lori Lightfoot. I don't know that the budget didn't cut it. They didn't get the federal funds, Rev.
I know that in several cities. I'll look it up on Chicago under Lightfoot. But I know several cities. I know specifically that it was true in where they went in Washington, D.C. They had cut the budget, federal budget, to Washington. So I'm just asking, is that sometimes these mayors have to cut the budget because the budget to them have been cut?
And I get that. I totally get it. But I'm just saying, optics, Rev, it don't look good when you say you don't need any additional resources in the police, but you don't want the guard. That's the only point that I.
Yeah, well, but my point is, if in fact it is like Washington D.C., I don't think it's inappropriate to say, no, I don't need the guards, I need the money, so I can keep the police here. First of all, I think a lot of people don't understand, Andre. National Guards are not trained to do policing. They're not trained to fight crime. So you cannot cut budgets that cost police, replace it with National Guards. That's like saying that I'm going to replace my car mechanic with my cook at the restaurant. There's two different things. National Guards do not police.
Oh, you're absolutely right. We're in agreement there, Rev. So, right. I told the screener that I want to speak about Jimmy Kimmel too.
Go ahead.
I think that I think that Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, Seth Meyers, Jimmy Fallon, all of those Daily, all of those guys that host this show, they need to come together collectively and file some sort of suit. Now, I'm not an attorney, but maybe you can ask Ms. Austin if they can file some sort of class action suit, because they are being infringed upon for the simple fact that the First Amendment protects satire, comedy, and political commentary. Those are protected speech under the First Amendment. And so it's the evidence is there that they're being fired for political reasons, which should be unconstitutional. So I'd like to see them come together and stand in solidarity with one another and file a class action suit and preserve free speech. I also think that'd be a good campaign thing coming the midterms, good campaign thing for the Democrats. They're going to protect free speech. That's something that they could possibly do. Lastly, Rev, I got much respect for you and Miss Austin, and I just believe whenever Todd calls your show, he needs to at least say good evening to you, Reverend Sharpton, good evening, Miss Jennifer Jones Austin, because y'all are his elders. And rather him call and go right to his talking points, it just sounds rude to me. I mean, that's just my take on it. But when he called, he could say, hello, Reverend, how you doing? And good evening, Reverend, before he go to talking. But he just like he call and go right to it, don't show y'all no respect. That's all I want to say.
All right, well, in terms of the coming together with a lawsuit, I think that is a good thing to bring up. And I think that if they all did come together, got to remember, to me, the strategic, smart position you're suggesting is that they talk to millions of people collectively every night, 5 nights a week. If they came together, that's millions that would rally around such a lawsuit and would raise a political problem for the White House, who I suspect is engineering this. So I think that is right. Don't ever underestimate, I think what you're saying is very, very important. Don't ever underestimate people that have access to people. One of the reasons why a young organizer from a different organization but works with us when we do United Front situations, and he says, why do y'all get more people at y'all's marches like we had 2 weeks ago than most of us can get? I said, because I'm talking to people every day. I'm on radio 6 days a week talking
to tens of thousands of people and more than that on television. You got to talk to people. Kimmel and Stephen Colbert talking to millions of people every night. I've done both their shows. That ain't no stage joke. I looked at the rating, and I think that while they still have some currency, don't wait 3 or 4 years when people forgot about who you are. Do it now. I think that millions of people would rally around that. I think that is an excellent idea. I really do. Let's go ahead.
And you're absolutely right, Rev. They reach millions of people, and it can translate into votes and whatnot. And second of all, injustice anywhere, just everywhere. When Jimmy Kimmel filed a class action lawsuit, they also defending our right to free speech because it's also under attack. Thank you, Rev.
All right, thank you. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. Jimmy, get here.
Because, I grew up, like I said, single mama on welfare. And my mother told me there's a part in life that hope's gonna run out. But she told me you got a double barrel in your engine. I said, what is that? She said, you can switch from hope to faith. Faith is a little deeper than hope. Bishop Hilliard is here. Faith is when hope runs out. Faith is the substance of things. Hope for the evidence of things not seen. Faith is when we were emancipated after 246 years of slavery and walked off the plantations with no education, no money, no future. And we built black churches and black colleges and black fraternities. We had faith. Faith made us stand up to the most powerful nation in the world and turn it around. Faith means we went from the back of the bus to the front of the White House. We come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord, trusting in His holy word. He never failed us yet.
Year ago and change, 67 weeks ago, we started marching every Thursday, am I right, on the offices of Bill Ackman. Bill Ackman was the architect of ending DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. He started it. I want to give a little history because a lot of people get Negroitis and get confusion. I don't even mind your ego, everybody need one, but you don't have to become contrary and duplicitous. We got to have integrity even among those with ego. So we started when they first came out against DEI. Now Ackman and them started it going to Harvard University, forcing out the first black woman and first black president of Harvard. We went to his office and been going 67 weeks. I went first 10 to 12 weeks. And this brother, stand up, Reverend Ron McHenry, coordinator House of Justice. This brother has been there every week. Many of you here in the audience have marched every week. So we didn't just get in this. We were in it the day they came at Claudine Guy. Last year's convention, we dealt with DEI. This year we said that we're going at these corporations that had come out against DEI. Many of you, most of y'all I'm looking at was at the convention. And we hit Pepsi. Pepsi called and said, all right, We 8-9 days in, we agreed to meet. And we went, purchased New York. Chairman of our board, Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, and Carol Wallace, who's a special advisor to us on finance, and laid out to them that one, we don't care what you call it, DEI, IED. Y'all are gonna keep your commitments in terms of the black community. And that means we don't want special privilege, but we do not want to be specially excluded. This is not about we don't want merit. We feel if our people are at the table, we can beat anybody on merit in many cases. So we want from employment to your board, to how you deal with marketing, to who does your financial investment. We want to go across the board with that. Otherwise, if you don't want to deal with the question of diversity in how you do your business, then don't deal with diversity in your consumer base, because you don't believe in diversity. So we just will try to remove all the dollars we can from buying your stuff. In fact, I told the chairman, met with the chairman of the board, met with the CEO. I said, in fact, I learned that not from growing up civil rights, I learned that from Donald Trump. So what do you mean? I said, Donald Trump says he's gonna redo tariffs, that if he doesn't get what he wants for the country, they were gonna raise the tariffs. I'm doing the black tariff reverse. If we don't get what we want, I mean, y'all can't be for Trump and tariff and not be for us in the African American community with a tariff.
Oh, do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited, and you should be excited to turn on WBLS 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you, and if you want to, you can come to the House of Justice and be there live, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We kick off at 9, and we don't stop until we deal with getting our people.
Rev, you know, you were right there
from the beginning
with the stuff that
Yep.
was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, but I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question.
Yep.
What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair back.
Yeah, you had the head on.
Yeah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut, so we went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK. Keeping It Real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. It's Policy Day, and we are joined, as we are every Thursday for the last 90 minutes of the show, by the CEO of the Protestant Welfare Agencies in New York City and the Vice Chairman of the National Board of National Action Network, Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin. How you doing, Jenny?
I'm good, Reverend Sharpton. Good to be with all of you and all of your listeners and your callers. Good to be here.
Good to have you. Now, let me ask you, I want to get into the free speech question, and a lot of our callers' lines are jammed, want to get into that, and we've been talking about it first hour. But before I get into that, in the dimensions of that legally and putting on your attorney cap, and as an activist, which you are, certainly that as well, let me look at the inferences that we have we are impacted by. When we saw what the Fed did yesterday in terms of lowering the interest rates, I think by 0.25, a lot of us use that time when it comes on the news that we're going to go to the interest rates or Dow Jones and all. That's our time we use to go to the restroom or something. Talk about how the interest rates affect everybody listening and what this lowering by only 2.5 yesterday, because Trump and them wanted it lower, what it means and what it doesn't mean to the average person listening.
Absolutely. So what happens when the federal government, when the Federal Reserve, I should say, which is an agency within the government, but it's an independent agency, it sets the interest rates for the nation, for banks, and for the country. And so when it lowers the interest rate, what that does is, in the main, it makes it easier, or I should say cheaper. I'm sorry, I misspoke. It makes it cheaper to borrow money, which the consequence of that, what is intended, is that if it's cheaper to borrow money, if it's cheaper for individuals to borrow money to buy a home, to buy a car, if it's cheaper for individuals to borrow money to pay for building a new business, and they're getting a loan of money to build a new business. If banks, I'm all turned on, companies. If companies are looking to borrow money, and it's cheaper to borrow the money, the thinking here is that what it does is ultimately it encourages spending. So it's like when the economy is struggling, what you want to do is you want to stimulate economic growth. You want people to be more engaged in the market, buying more things. The belief is that when you buy more things, you build consumption, you build the need for more products, and so it actually builds the economy. The economy is all about the building of gross domestic products and spending. And so if they lower the rate for loans, then people are going to take out money and they're going to buy more things, and that's going to boost the economy. And so for individuals, what that means is if you were going to buy a house, and let's say you were just going to use whole numbers, you were going to buy a house for $100,000, and the interest rate had been 7%, then you would be paying 7% on that loan of $100,000, right? But if the rates are cut down to 5% or 4.5%, then you're going to be paying less for the money that you're taking out, and you'd be paying less over time. So again, it's all about trying to essentially make sure that that the market is moving. But for individuals and families, one of the things that we got to remember, especially for people, many in our community, when you go to borrow money, you got to have collateral. Now, if you don't have a job or you have a low-paying job, the lowering of interest rates may not directly impact you. The lowering of interest rates doesn't apply automatically to credit cards. It doesn't necessarily mean that that your interest rates on your credit card are going to go down dramatically. Right now, individuals, especially Black Americans, we have a lot of credit card debt. Now, credit card interest rates are affected and tied to the federal benchmark, but it doesn't mean that you're now automatically going to see that your payment, your balances are going to go down significantly. You might see a few bucks less in your monthly interest payments, but you're not going to see a significant cut in the amount of money that you have to put out. Auto loans is another example. When the Federal Reserve cuts interest rates, the average person, let's say they've got I'm thinking like if you've got a car loan and it's like about like $50,000 that you paid for and you got that loan over 5 years. When the feds cut the interest rates, it's not the situation where you're going to see some dramatic cut in how much your monthly loan payment is. You may see like a few dollars, like you may see $10, $15, but it's not significant. It really comes into play, the interest rates being cut dramatically when we're talking about people taking out significant loans for homes, for big business, for corporations and the like. So we may see a few dollars in our pockets, but it's not going to be a lot.
All right, let me ask you another question. First, let me go. Happiness Donut says on our live stream to you. I remember. She says, "I'm sorry. I remember a lot of folks migrated from Wisconsin to Texas. Said it was bigger, better job opportunities. That's the kind of things that people are dealing with. That is affected by." Things like the interest loans that is set by the Fed, and that deals with mortgage rates, that deals with a lot of things. That could be the difference between home ownership and renting, or even if you're renting when your landlord's paying a mortgage, all of that is impacted.
Absolutely, absolutely. What you got to remember is that when interest rates are high, that's going to affect, if you're buying a home, how much you can actually afford to pay month over month over month. But the challenge is that you've got to have the down payment to begin with to buy the home. So if you don't have the money to purchase the home, and unfortunately, because so many black New Yorkers, I was just at a conference talking about black New Yorkers, but just because what we see with black Americans, we don't have a lot of savings. And so when they cut interest rates, while that could help us to go buy homes, if we don't have the savings to begin with to make the down payment, it's not necessarily going to be of great value to us in that regard. And again, our credit card debt may go down, our credit card monthly payments may go down, but not significantly. And our auto loan payments could go down, but not significantly.
Now, Tricia is on our message board, says, do you think Trump strong-armed them to lower the interest rates because he wanted to refinance some of his debts? And before you answer, let me say, he wanted them to lower it even lower than they did. Some stations were saying, oh, he got what he wanted, they lowered the rates. He wanted them to lower it like 1.25 or 1.75. He did not want them to just lower it to 0.25.
Right. Well, the short of it is that it could be that. It could be that he did it for his own benefit. But the bigger point of information that people need to center on is that the theory behind lowering the interest rates for the nation is that when you lower interest rates, that it actually increases consumption. It increases spending. Because, the cost of buying something is actually less. And what Trump is very much concerned about right now, as, we will soon begin to see more and more, we've begun to see some of it, but more and more we'll begin to see the impact of higher tariffs. As we see that we have slow job growth. What he's trying to do is to stimulate the economy. And so he's trying to give people more money to spend, so, and to take out loans to spend more so that he can then boost consumption. And he can look like he's actually boosted the economy. That's what he's trying to do.
Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, Jones Austin. Be right back. Keeping it real.
33-year-old preacher without a church.
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I had to learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that called me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say, you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them. Now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old. With the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
We have a short visit today, so we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir. We was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses.
Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you
you.
been?
Doing fine. Good.
Last time, and we
Alexander Sharpton. How many slaves were staying there?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have a slave.
Yeah, that's when exactly. That was exactly.
Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is our co-host. And on our message board, Laurie Parks is saying the tariffs are what is eating up the consumers. They think going to have blockbuster spending holiday season is going to be the opposite. People are struggling now to pay their bills. Trisha's saying exactly. Put up Trisha. Trisha's saying exactly. Laurie Parks, shrink inflation is hitting me hard. Toothpaste and deodorant has gotten extremely small. And I think we're hearing that across the board, Jenny. Is Jenny still there?
I'm right here with you, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now. I hear you now, yeah.
You know, for a long while, we've been seeing, before Trump went into office, we've been seeing companies shrink products and try to get over. And I'm a big fan of Haagen-Dazs ice cream, and they started making those pints a lot smaller than what they used to be, but charging the same price. So that practice has been going on for a long while. But you're going to see more and more of it. And essentially what the aim here is for companies always to make as much money as they possibly can. Now, sadly, they don't pass on the profits to individuals who are, the lowest income earners. But the game plan, nevertheless, is if you can reduce interest rates, get companies to invest more in the build-out of products by taking out loans, get individuals to spend more on their credit cards. I mean, this is the first time that ever the Federal Reserve has actually made changes on interest rates for credit cards and auto loans, because what they're trying to do is to get people to buy more. And if people don't have a lot of money, well, if you just cut down how much they pay in interest, then maybe they'll feel like they can afford to buy something more and just spur and boost the economy. That's what Trump is trying to do, because he knows tariffs are hitting people hard, and he knows just the ability to even create products. If you're getting more, if you have to get materials from other countries and you've got tariffs imposed on those materials, it's going to raise the cost of actually producing those goods. So he's got to try to figure out a way to essentially give you more money to buy the goods.
Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Jerry in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Jerry?
How you doing, Doc?
I'm doing well.
Good. Always a pleasure to hear you. I listen to a lot of talk shows, and I watch you all the time, Politics Nations, and but I'm hearing a lot of people saying we got 3 more years to deal with this. I better wake up. Trump ain't planning on going nowhere. You remember when he was campaigning, he was telling his people, you won't have to vote anymore. That came out of his mouth. You won't have to vote anymore. That's why they doing all this gerrymandering and carrying on. They want to control these elections going out. If we don't take care of this during this spring election, these midterm elections, it's going to be over with. See, the only way we can do that, the Senate and the House have to be taken over by the Democrats, and then they can do something with Congress, because that's the culprit right there. They can set limits on Congress and make it go into effect right away, because this is a dictatorship in full steam ahead, and there's no question about it.
No, I think you're right, Jerry. I think you're right, Jerry. Jenny, and you can address the midterms, but also bring in there, since he's talking about a dictatorship and a autocracy. Give us your interpretation of what has happened to Jimmy Kimmel and, for that matter, Stephen Colbert, because it looks like that we're in a season of unabashed silencing of people even being able to crack jokes about the present administration.
Absolutely. Well, what happened with Kimmel and what happened with Colbert is straight up government censorship. And what the First Amendment seeks to do is to actually control against government censorship. And government censorship is the government punishing speech that is negative about the government, about government officials. And Colbert and Kimmel have never shied from, essentially in their stand-up comedy or in their monologues, poking fun at President Trump, and he and his cronies have not liked it. What's happening right now is that the chair of the chair/secretary of the Federal Communications Commission, a guy by the name of Carr, who actually wrote the chapter on communications in Project 2025 and has been working with Trump since the first term. Essentially, he has oversight of all of the deal making that goes on when you've got media companies trying to merge, trying to do business. They have to, get approvals and from the federal government. And so what's happening is you've got a lot of these big media companies that have requests. They have actions before the federal government, and they know that if anybody, within the rank and file is doing anything or saying anything that criticizes Donald Trump, then they're at risk of their plan.
And let me interject right there so people understand. Both Nexstar, who was dealing with ABC. They're some of the affiliates ABC network uses, who were the ones that said they was going to pull Kimmel off. They're in the middle of a merger deal. And where Stephen Colbert was, CBS, was in the middle of a merger deal that did go on that did get through, rather, after Colbert was taken off the air with Paramount. So this is not theory that Attorney Jones Austin is talking about. These are actual deals that are decided, I want y'all to hear her clearly, by FCC, Federal Communications Commission, that is chaired now by a guy that wrote sections of 2025 directly. We're not theorizing here.
Yeah, and what Jimmy Kimmel was doing was he was saying that it was not right of Donald Trump. It was not right for him to be characterizing the shooter as being something that is the result of the shooter of Charlie Kirk, that it was tied to the Democrats. He was saying you can't do that. He essentially was saying that they were desperately trying to characterize Charlie Kirk as his shooter as anything and anyone other than somebody like them, and he directly criticized President Trump for his statements. So they didn't like that because they know that Charlie Kirk has an audience, and that audience essentially is going to lean into what Jimmy Kimmel is saying. So what do? They leaned heavily on ABC. And, just remind ABC that you got business before the Federal Communications Commission. And if you want that business to go through, you better, essentially make sure that people in the rank and file fall in line.
And
That's what happened here.
That is also why it is important that we support black media. And that is why we should be putting pressure. One of the things that we've done with our talks with these big companies, and we've been successful at least 3 of them, is saying you've got to advertise with black media because, and that includes Radio 1, that includes Byron Allen, that includes TV One, that includes Essence, that includes all black-owned media, because we can say to them, not only, yes, put money in black banks, yes, jobs, yes, boards, but you need to also force the people that have your dollar in their pocket, your consumer dollar, that we need our microphone, and our microphone is black radio, black newspaper, black magazine, black digital, because without that, the way they are locking down others now, we don't know who is talking to us. So we want to have the people that we know that can talk to us. And since you're taking your money out of our community, you put your commercials on our stations or in our magazines or with our people. That is absolutely a part of the strategy there. Thank you for your call.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your call. Let me go to Ron in Hamilton Fields, California. Ron?
Let's go to break.
Let me take my break, and I'll come right back to you, Ron. Keeping it real. Sharpton, Jones Austin. Be right back.
We have a short today. So we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir. We were with gold. Yeah, we was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses. Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine. Good.
Last time, and we
Alexander Sharpton. How many slaves were staying there?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have a slave.
Yeah, that's when exactly. That was exactly.
The two people that most influenced my life were from South Carolina, James and Jesse. Jesse right up the road with me. I went over his mother's funeral. Jesse walked me to my mother's casket. From South Carolina. That's the balance of my life, James.
Yeah.
Civil rights, shoulders.
But also where your people from too.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
And where I knew Jesse was from James, I started president.
Yeah.
And James had died before I knew about him in South Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah. James died December 25th. He died Christmas Day, 06. And they came to do the story for February of 07. They came in January. His daughter swear that was his daddy and him pushing the information out.
Wow.
And I called Jesse and told him, do you know that my great-grandfather was a slave about 45, because Greenville right up to I-20. He said, I told you we was connected. That's why you got to listen to me. But, no.
I want to ask you a question, and that is, what is in your life's blueprint? This is the most important and crucial period of your lives, for what you do now and what you decide now at this age may well determine which way your life shall go. And whenever a building is constructed, you usually have an architect who draws a blueprint. And that blueprint serves as the pattern, as the guide, as the model for those who are to build the building. And a building is not well erected without a good, sound, and solid blueprint. Now each of you is in the process of building the structure of your lives. And the question is whether you have a proper, a solid, and a sound blueprint. And I want to suggest some of the things that should be in your life's blueprint. Number one in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth. And always feel that your life has ultimate significance.
Let me thank Charlie King, Dr. Richardson. Most of all, let me thank Reverend Al Sharpton for bringing us all here together today. In the Urban Action Network, I am proud to be a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America. But I am mindful that I wouldn't be here if it had not been for Reverend Al Sharpton running for president, and Carol Moseley Brown running for president, and Jesse Jackson running for president, and Shirley Chisholm running for president. They paved the way, and I stand on their shoulders. And I'm proud to acknowledge that debt that I owe. I appreciate Reverend Sharpton for being a voice for the voiceless and a champion for the dispossessed. And as we saw last week, he's still on the front lines, fighting a good fight. And we are thankful for his energy and his willingness to challenge the conventional wisdom. I'm also thankful that Reverend Sharpton has built this organization because what he understands is that change in America doesn't happen from the top down. Change happens from the bottom up. Change happens when millions of voices set the agenda and hold those in power accountable.
I got a Tony.
You got it. My daughter won a Tony Award.
That's crazy.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
Do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited, and you should be excited too. Turn on WBLS 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you, and if you want to, you can come to the
I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is our co-host. Let's go to Hamilton Fields, California, to Ron. Ron, you're on with Sharpton and Attorney Jones Austin.
Oh, yes, sir. I had called originally to try to push forward focusing on what the government resolution for the budget. But they've extended that now to the 21st of November before Thanksgiving, whatever their manipulation that is. And I can talk about that later because we can talk about cutting those cuts and getting the social services back. That's important. But what now with this Kimmel thing where he was fired and basically put off, and Trump talking about conspiracies and charging people with the RICO Act, Get Racketeering Act, where in the old days if you went up and said, I'm going to sell you window insurance, but you don't want to buy it, so your window's broken that night, and the man comes back the next day and says, are you going to buy my insurance? That's racketeering. I would say this, the premise in my mind, hearing this under two parties here. One, the administration, the threats using government agencies to threaten licenses, and the network itself have come in collusion to harm Kimmel, and therefore his career and his prospects, including the restriction of his freedom of speech. He did not direct his speech to incite harmful actions. He did nothing there. Basically, opinion in the open, like anyone would do that gives an opinion, like on your show. I would say that Mr. Kimmel has a right to sue not only for the freedom of speech, for loss of income, and sue under the RICO Act because of the conspiracy between the administration and the network. How would you feel about that? How does that look?
Jenny?
You know, I think you make a good point, and here's the deal. This was not the first incident when Jimmy Kimmel said something that was embarrassing about Donald Trump. And so he would be able to show that he has, on several occasions, numerous occasions, said something and there's been no action taken against him. And he'd be able to demonstrate that, what is the difference in this particular moment, in this in this situation, that, his company has business before the federal government and, wants to see a decision from the Federal Communications Commission that is favorable to them. And so he might be able to demonstrate that they have now done something that is actually silencing him, and it's a violation of his First Amendment speech rights, and essentially it's for the purposes of being in collusion with the government. He might have a case. Look, nowadays what we're seeing is people are suing, even Donald Trump is suing when he doesn't necessarily have a case, but let's see where it goes.
Well, I was thinking of the RICO Act itself, the Gangster Act, because when you have a collusion of people to do harm or to deprive, that comes under the RICO Act. I mean, this act, as the president, I've heard him say 2 or 3 times over even the last week about RICO, charging people with the RICO Act. I'm saying let me say one thing. The network is as responsible in this current action that they had. Evidentiary, yes, Mr. Trump or the White House have been against this man. That's all there. That's a component to add to it. But now it's a collusion of the network and the administration and the government agencies, and specifically anything personal against the president. This is a case, the premise of that is that these people got together. That collusion comes under the Gangster Act, the RICO Act.
But the you have here, and it's a very fundamental, basic challenge. The RICO Act requires the federal United States Department of Justice to take action. It is not a civil case. It is a criminal case that would have to be brought by the United States Department of Justice. You are not going to see, especially under this administration, the United States Department of Justice saying that the federal government has colluded with a private entity against the people of the United States of America. And so that's why I actually went to, Kimmel himself might have a private right of action for his First Amendment speech rights having been violated. But you're not going to see. The RICO Act requires the federal government as the prosecutor to take action. They're not going to take action against themselves.
No, that's for sure. And I think that clearly that's one of the reasons why, as I think our caller, immediate past caller said, we've got to vote to put in a judiciary, to put in a legislature, Congress and Senate that will move forward on things like that. Let's go to Lola in Philadelphia. Lola.
Yes. Good afternoon. Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon, Reverend Allen, Jenny, Attorney Jenny. I wanted to say this. I wanted to say 2 things. That they talking about lowering the interest rate. People don't have any money. I was in the supermarket, Reverend Al. They are now selling half a loaf of bread. So you know how you would get the full loaf? They had a half a loaf of bread for $2.79. Can you hear me, Reverend Al?
I do hear you. Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. So now they're selling a half a loaf of bread because people are obviously having hard times. And this was not just one brand. This was a bunch of brands now. So instead of selling like the full loaves or the full jars of stuff, they're now selling them half. So like say if a loaf of bread was like $4, which is too high anyway, now they're selling it for $2.79, $2.89. I also wanted to say that lowering their interest rate is not going to do anything if wages are stagnant. If 300,000 black women are out of job, where's the money coming? Yes, Attorney Jenny, where's the money coming from? I make good money, and we are budgeting. Everybody is budgeting because we don't know what the future holds. We see what's happening out here, and the tariffs are hitting. I'm the type of person, I like to have nice things, but I also check the prices on everything. The prices have went up everywhere on clothing, food, the gas, housing, everything is up. But he is still talking about, and the right is still talking about Charlie Kirk. What about lowering food prices? What about the everyday people who are working? This country is hurting, and they are still harping about a man who was, to me, a hate monger. And I just wanted to say about Jimmy Kimmel. This is weird. Like you said, Reverend, now when you came on your first commentary, this is not just, we're not talking about a dictatorship. We're in one, because they have censored Jimmy Kimmel. They're letting go of Stephen Colbert. And in one of his rants, I'm talking about Trump, he said, now let's get Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers. So, eventually, any little thing they say, they're going to come after them and turn them off. So now there's not going to be any late-night comics on. And I wanted to say this also, that Larry Ellison, he owns OpenAI, Paramount, Warner Brothers, and now he's going, Trump is asking him to be one of the people to buy TikTok. So let's think about that. So all of these people own this stuff, right? And let me say about Bezos. Bezos owns Amazon and Washington Post, who just fired the last black writer they had there, Karen Atafa.
Black woman, that's right, black woman.
Right. So all of these white billionaires own all of this stuff, have coddled up to Trump, and now are hammering down on free speech, hammering down on working people like everybody out here. Because if you're working, you need a job, you need to pay your bills. So what we need to do is really do a protest with our money. People need to really stop and think about how these things are affecting us. Don't subscribe to Paramount. Don't watch ABC and NBC anymore since they're doing these things. Really go to the companies and the places that are acknowledging you and not hampering down on your free speech. You can't say anything against them now. But let's say this, Reverend Al, Ben Shapiro, Nick Fuentes, Joe Rogan, Fox News, all of those are still on. I just pulled up Nick Fuentes to see he's still spewing his hate. But Jimmy Kimmel said one thing that wasn't even hate speech, and they canceled his whole show. But all the right-wing people can still stay on. The Fox guy, one of the Fox reporter said on one of his commentaries, we should shoot all mentally ill people. I hope you guys heard that.
Yes.
He said,
I think it was, it Jesse Waters? I think it was.
Yes, it was. Yes, Reverend. Now, so shooting mentally ill people is the solution to having homeless people. To having homeless people who are on the street who are mentally ill, but he can still stay on. So no, he can apologize and get back on. And he was never reprimanded or suspended or anything. And now we have all of the people, Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen, they're going to go after Jimmy Fallon and Seth because Trump put it out there. So I wanted to say this, Reverend Al, what do you think about this? All of these companies, all of these universities, all of these firms, all of these places now are bending down to one white man. I feel like this is what they had in their hearts and their companies anyway. But
let me answer because we're going to run out of time. Let me just answer that. Everything you say, you're on mark in terms of economic use of our dollars, which is why we said at NAN's convention we're going to have to come to some people jumped out and said that they wanted to go after some sisters and brothers in Minneapolis, wanted to go after Target, then they picked up Atlanta. So we didn't confuse people. We said, fine, we'll support that. We'll support those that support us. So we did the boycotts. So nobody could say we had a counter boycott. And I don't know where they are now with that boycott. So I said, fine, we'll go into going into some of these companies in terms of buying stock. But none of it will work if people don't support it. And the people, everything you described is so on point, Lola. And you know who enabled them to do it, where Trump as one person could do this with these guys that are merging and all that? The people in our community that didn't vote sponsored Trump. Mm-hmm. We've got to also own some of this blame. We did it. Wasn't like we weren't told that this was going to happen. And I give him credit. Trump told us what he was going to do. And we sat home, or some black men voted against him. So the question is, in many ways, are we going to undo what we did? Trump didn't drop out the sky. Trump is a result of our negligence and our lack of numbers. We could have right there in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh got enough black votes to win the state of Pittsburgh. Kamala Harris lost by 1.5% of the vote. So I think while we are talking, we need to be able to sit together and go after these boycotts together and calculate them and not be playing one against the other, which is why we said, fine, we'll do this and y'all do that and we'll support it. 2, we need to start getting ready now for the midterms and tell us, fine, I understand some black men got tricked. We need to take them out of power. We can't act like they're so superior to us, there was nothing we could do. We enabled them by our inaction or those of us that voted for him. And we got to own that. Thank you for your call. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, Jones, Austin. Be right back.
You know, you were right there
From the beginning.
with the stuff that
Yep.
was going on in Brooklyn at
Yep.
that time, at
Yep.
Howard Beach. You
Yep.
were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene with yourself,
Yep.
Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question.
Yep.
What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the head on.
Nah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. So we went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK. Stop telling yourself you're not confident of what you could do. When people with half your skills and a quarter of your talent have gone on to create big waves in life, if you look at them and you know you're more gifted than them, then what is your problem? You are looking for someone to come and drag you into success. You've got to use what you have, which is, in my judgment,
more skillful than others I've known in your area. Use that and believe in that. And your confidence will build up as you get going and start doing. And don't chase the spotlight. Sharpen your skills. Live in your purpose. And you'll get so good the spotlight will be chasing you. Be so good they can't help but talk about you and put the spotlight on you. You don't get your energy from chasing the spotlight. You get your energy by chasing your purpose. The spotlight and other adulation will come with it. Have a great day.
No justice, no justice, no justice. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people go, go. We never shine, never shade. Give me a papa God, rain, make the heavens. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water too.
No justice! No justice! 62 years ago today, Martin marched in Washington. 62 years later, the dream is not dead.
I'm here because I must be here. Democracy is not there for the pig, and you have to fight for democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
Is the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street. Look at the story. We celebrated Good Friday and Easter just a couple of weeks ago. Well, there's a message in that. I heard a preacher talk about this the other week. The thing that people forget, I want you to keep this in mind, is they crucified Jesus. Those of us that are Christian believe they hung him on a cross, maligned him, mocked him. Wasn't enough to nail him. They mocked him, saying, if you be the king of the Jews, step down and deliver yourself. Mocked him. Ridiculed him. He wanted water, they gave him vinegar. Crowned him with a crown of thorn. When they should be giving you your celebratory, they're going to give you some attacks. But the end of the story was they went and laid him in Joseph's tomb. Didn't even have a family tomb. Didn't have insurance like some of us. Laid him in a borrowed tomb. But the third morning, this is the story they tell. The third morning, when they came to where they laid him, he wasn't there. My message is to you today that don't let them catch you where they laid you. They may kill your name. They may crucify your character. They may tell you you are nothing from nowhere, but when they come to where they laid you, let you be gone on to somewhere else. I've been called everything but a child of God. They said I'd be nothing going nowhere. They castigated us. They called us troublemakers. They called us loudmouth. And when they came to see me go to jail, I wasn't there. They can catch me on MSNBC now. They can catch me leading marches now. I serve a God that not only will go through the crucifixion, but will bring you through the resurrection. We're going to resurrect in the city. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. This is our time. Do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's
Keeping it
happening.
real.
You'll be involved in dealing
I'm
with
your
what's
host.
happening. I'm excited.
Reverend Al Sharpton, attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is our co-host. All right, it's Policy Day. Let's go to Todd in Cleveland, Ohio, WERE. Todd.
Hey, Reverend Al Sharpton, Jennifer Jones Austin. So I pay grocery bills in 4 places. I pay grocery bills in Cuyahoga County for myself. That's Ohio, Metro Cleveland. I pay grocery bills in Washington, D.C., Hampton, Virginia, Charlottesville, Virginia, and some degree, but not as much, in Metro Atlanta. And this is like a monthly thing for me. And I look at prices, and I mainly pay attention to produce. And essential items such as toothpaste, mouthwash, things that are used on a practical basis, cleaning fluids. And I'm just not seeing in those areas big jumps in cost. Bread, I heard Lola talk about bread. Now that she lives in Philadelphia, that's a different city, so things are different there. But what I am noticing is that the Federal Reserve Bank is taking into consideration that if they cut interest rates at a marginal amount, then they can better assess to what degree it's going to stimulate the public, so that they can consider for a larger amount later. Because while the Trump administration is taking into consideration how many more people will take out loans, the Federal Reserve takes in consideration, well, how many people are going to pay those loans back? If it's taking out a loan doesn't mean that you actually are a richer person. You've increased your debt, and then you have to make it. You know, you can buy the car, but you have to pay back the loan to maintain the car through any periods of maintenance, through any periods of upgrading cost of products that you want to add onto your vehicle, and if you have a credit card, you know, you may be able to borrow more, a little bit more, but the things that you buy in it cost more. So to what degree are you going to pay back the debt on the car? The Federal Reserve Bank takes those things into consideration. So I don't see it personally in the grocery stores, but I'm aware that there's a reason why there's only marginal changes in the interest rates, and the public should be aware of that too. Are you following what I'm saying?
I think I am. Jenny, do you follow?
I mean, I'm following in part, but I mean, one of the things I just want to point out is I don't know where you're shopping, and I don't know where the caller who talked about the increase in basic household goods, the costs having gone up. I don't know where she's shopping. But what I can tell you is that through the years, there's been a lot of research, and it's something that I've worked on. I actually chaired a commission focusing on supermarkets around the state of New York and the cost of goods and services. And one of the things that we see repeatedly is that in communities where people have less income, you will often see a spike in cost for basic goods, at levels that you don't see in middle-income communities and then in more affluent communities. And it has a lot to do with the rate of consumption. It has a lot to do with access often in communities with where people have lower income. You have less competition, and you'll see that the people who are running these stores will increase the prices. Maybe their businesses are affected, but you'll see the prices go up faster. So I don't know where you shop, and I don't know where she shopped, but that could be a factor.
Whole Foods, Safeway, Publix, Kroger.
There you go.
You
just
Heinen's.
Answered my question.
Yeah,
you just answered my
and
question.
Heinen's,
Whole Foods is not up in Yeah, just think about it. Whole Foods ain't up in the black and brown communities. And the other thing you got to keep in mind is, even if you're looking at a Safeway, Safeway is a huge public chain. The larger your public chain store, the better able you are to control your prices. If we're talking about what we see in a lot of our communities in terms of immediate, down the street access to basic goods, these are small entities, and they will jack up the prices.
What I'm seeing is that they're running more sales. So you now I see the receipt. Now I see I'm at the counter at Heinen's, and which is a local grocery store in Metro Cleveland. At the shelves, I see the receipts because I got kids to pay for it. That stuff like that. So for the other places, and in Atlanta, I'm sometimes at the shelves too. But I see a lot of sales, so that you could walk up to that shelf and see, well, this is what the regular price is, but now it's on sale for this week. And the sale price is often a price that would have been the regular price 5 years ago. That is true. That is happening a lot. But the sales keep coming. And Whole Foods, although they're not in, I don't know that I've ever seen a Whole Foods in a black neighborhood, truthfully. Maybe one in Chicago over there just outside Inglewood, maybe. But there are a lot of black people that go to Whole Foods. And there are a lot of black people that are in the socioeconomic middle class that prefer to go to Whole Foods, and they're doing it too. So my thing is this: the reason I even brought it up is because when you first came on, you were talking about interest rates being dropped, and you were talking about car loans being reduced a little bit, and ability to start businesses reduced a little bit. And I heard Reverend Sharpton talk about how Trump wanted the rates to be dropped much more significantly, but we have to take in consideration that the Fed is going to look at that and think, sure, we could drop it, and sure, more people will take out these loans. But how many of them are going to pay it back? That is part of policy that they have to consider. Are people going to take all these loans out and pay them back? Isn't that what caused the housing crisis? It became much easier for people. A little bit separate matter, but it became much more easier for people to take out loans for homes, and then they didn't pay them back.
But go ahead, Jenny, go ahead.
I was just going to say, but that is probably more of a Federal Reserve concern than it would be a Donald Trump. I don't think he thinks that long term, or he's just looking for the immediate benefit and impact. And what he's concerned about right now is that the numbers that are being put up show slower job growth, right? Now, slower job growth is tied to interest rates. If people have more money to spend, if you lower the federal interest rate, and now people have more money in their pockets to spend, and they can take out, they can consume more. Their credit card interest rates go down. Their auto loan interest rates go down, and they can spend more. Then that is actually going to create a need for greater supply, and it is going to create greater demand for goods and services and greater supply. And then what happens is the companies who are producing the goods and services are going to need to put more people in place to actually create these goods and services, and then push up job growth. That's what he's concerned about, the immediate. He's not thinking about whether or not people are going to pay back. That's not his concern right now.
Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Hold on, Todd. We'll be right back after this. Oh, do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh, my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited. And you should be excited to turn on WBLS 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you. And if you want to, you can come to the House of Justice and be there live. 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We kick off at 9, and we don't stop until we deal with getting our people energized.
because, I grew up, like I said, single mama on welfare. And my mother told me there's a part in life that hope's gonna run out. But she told me you got a double barrel in your engine. I said, what is that? She said, you can switch from hope to faith. Faith is a little deeper than hope. Bishop Hilliard is here. Faith is when hope runs out. Faith is the substance of things. Hope for the evidence of things not seen. Faith is when we were emancipated after 246 years of slavery and walked off the plantations with no education, no money, no future. And we built black churches and black colleges and black fraternities. We had faith. Faith made us stand up to the most powerful nation in the world and turn it around. Faith means we went from the back of the bus to the front of the White House. We come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord, trusting in His holy word. He never failed us yet. Come on. Pray. Amen. Short bit. A lot of our ministry to entertainment. Or who can hoop the loudest? Who can run around the pulpit more? Or who got the dresses fancy and don't deal with the ministry. Jesus healed more people than he preached to. Because there is in the healing your message. They followed Jesus because he healed a woman with the issue of blood. They followed Jesus because Jesus saw a blind man named Bartimaeus. A lot of us would have dismissed him because he was a broke, poor, homeless, a blind man. How you know he was broke, Reverend? Because they say he was begging. But he understood what he was doing because he heard that Jesus was passing by. And when Jesus got close enough, he said, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. They kept telling Jesus, let's go, we got a schedule, we got people to see. He said it again, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. And when he did it the third time, Jesus stopped and went and healed the blind man. Now, what I get out of that scripture, Bishop Daughtry, is that the blind man told Jesus, if you are who you say you are, you're going to stop and see me. Yes, sir. And if you stop and see me, you will confirm who you are. Yeah. But when we are pastoring and leading in communities with bad health, we cannot be the followers and representatives of Jesus and walk by people that are sick and we not be part of making them well.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me thank Charlie King, Dr. Richardson. Most of all, let me thank Reverend Al Sharpton for bringing us all here together today. The Urban Action Network. I am proud to be a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America. But I am mindful that I wouldn't be here if it had not been for Reverend Al Sharpton running for president, and Carol Mosley Brown running for president, and Jesse Jackson running for president. And
I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is our co-host. Don't forget Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, live at 5 Saturday and Sunday. And Jenny, I've already got one governor and a couple of members of Congress to deal with this whole question of free speech. I've got someone dealing with the question of the federal takeover in Memphis. I've got someone, an expert on student debt loan. You really want to see that. All of this well-known governors, well-known members of the Congress. And I have had the last 2 weeks, I had Zoran Mandani, and I had then Andrew Cuomo. And this weekend, I'm going to have Mayor Eric Adams on to ask him, are you dropping out or not? He said he's going to take a poll. And for 2 weeks, the 2 weeks is up this weekend, what you going to do? So he's agreed to come in the studio, as well as these members of Congress and the free speech issue and the whole question of where we are in terms of the redistricting. All of that we're going to discuss. And I'm absolutely going to have the report up to, I'm waiting any minute now to get from Ben Krupp and them the investigation about this black young man found hung on that campus in Mississippi. And I know Ben is dealing with it with the family, and I respect the family by not concluding without them getting the conclusive investigation. But it does sure sound funny to me. Let me say that. Let me also say, you that are in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, meet me at the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue at 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Saturday morning. I'll be there this Saturday. Looking forward to a great rally as we had one last Saturday. And you that are not in the New York area can watch it live on Impact Television or at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Now, let me go to the message board, then I'm coming back to Todd. Tricia says on the message board, the democracy.fund, I called in one time and I knew what I wanted to say, but while I was on hold, I heard so many good topics that I didn't discuss anything I called in to say, LOL. Well, Tricia, that's good, and those are good folks over there at democracy.fund. I like him and his wife. They've been up to the House of Justice, and I'm glad to know they're substantive. Tanya Stovall says, I don't know where Todd shops, but everything has gone up. Everything, no matter what store you shop at. Maybe a few more dollars means nothing to Todd. Todd, I'll give you a chance to respond.
I said where I shop directly and where I'm getting receipts from because I pay for those gift cards. Those gift cards that get to them every month. So I'll say it again: Whole Foods, Safeway, Publix, Heinen's, which is a local store in Metro Cleveland, and those are the places that get the money that comes directly from me monthly. To some degree in Chicago too, but mainly in those areas: Charlottesville, Hampton, Washington, D.C., which is a very expensive place for food or anything else, and Metro Atlanta and Cleveland. So that's the answer to Tanya's question. In response to what Jennifer was just saying, it should be equally noted, I mean, at the same time, that the president conducts himself as a policy implementer the same way he does in his own private affairs. He does things as though it's not that big a deal to borrow, because he don't really intend to pay it back anyway. He's going to file bankruptcy.
Well, he has filed bankruptcy 6 times in his own business career.
And kept moving.
Right.
The everyday middle-class person can't just easily do that. Now, the Federal Reserve Bank, on the other hand, conducts themselves as a group. And I've said numerous times before, I'm a good student of four of the districts, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and to some degree, District 2, which is New York. 4, 5, 6, and 7 is the Cleveland region, the Richmond region, which is where Washington, D.C. is, Atlanta, Georgia, and Chicago. So the Federal Reserve conducts itself in a way that they have to manage debt for the well-being of the overall economy. so that money can keep coming into the economy, which ultimately is going to come into the tax base, which is ultimately going to transfer into services for the public. So those are things that they're considering when they take into consideration lowering or raising interest rates. But I thought it should be noted that these are things that people should study. The Federal Reserve Bank puts out reports constantly that's in layman's terms if you can read on at least a fifth grade level. And if you can't read on a fifth grade level, you could at least get a dictionary to help you do so. And you can understand where they're coming from and why they make these decisions. And it shouldn't be something that somebody who's poor would look at and say, well, it's just not going to affect me. I don't have time to do all this. I got to go to work. Well, they're not writing it in a way where you have to do all of that, you know. So that's what I wanted to put out there. I'm with the Fed. I'm with the Fed, and I should also mention I'm looking forward to Lisa Cook winning this case and then finding out that there was never a credible source against Lisa Cook. She's a good, honorable employee. And I said something last week in air that I want to clean up. I put Italy on the list of nations that are outperforming the United States in education and in civic engagement, which is why they have lower crime rate. I meant to say Germany. It's Germany, England, France, and Japan. All right.
Thank you for your call. All right. Thank you for your call. Let's go to Christian in Manhattan. Christian, you're on with Sharpton and Jones Austin.
Reverend Al?
Yes.
And Attorney Jones Austin, thanks for taking my call. I'm Christine.
Oh, Christine,
And,
I only read what they give me, but go ahead.
I know. They mess my name up all the time. One of the things, two things I want to say, maybe three. I was coming from my friend's house. Accessoride is my mode of transportation. And I was coming from my friend's house in, I'm going to say St. Albans, but I think it's near there in Queens.
Mm-hmm.
And the day that What is 7 went to the ball game at Yankee Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
My exit is near Yankee Stadium. And the man pulled over, and he told me he was going to pick up a lady. Well, he pulled over in front of this shady building, and two men got in. One had a cane, he got in the back with me, and the other one sat in the front. And then he changed radio stations, Reverend Al, and he said, "No justice, no peace." I'm like, "Thank you, Lord." I'm praying the whole time. So then that gives me a chance to talk, because I feel he's okay if he's listening to your station. And the man in the front spoke more English. Spoke more English than Spanish. So he said to me, I told him, I said, I went to the walk with Reverend Al on Wall Street. He said, "Oh, I just found out about it the day after." So I told him how he can get in tune with you, Reverend Al.
Oh, that's good.
That was that day. So I finally got home. He told the man how to get around that traffic, the back streets, because he was, it was so much traffic and the police were everywhere.
Yeah.
And Reverend Al, yesterday a man called. I do believe he was from Georgia, and I know he was a veteran. And he was talking about something, I don't know, is a marsh pits or what, that's affecting his life. But I know he was upset with Senator Warnock. And I hope he's listening today, because I want to tell him my husband's story. My husband was a Vietnam vet. And when we were in North Carolina, this was 2006, he had retired 32 years from the Army. At this time, he was working at the post office, delivering mail. And he got sick. One day we were going shopping, and he got so sick. Anyway, local doctors treated him for kidney stones. And his friend told him, encouraged him to go to the VA hospital. And they diagnosed him. And that's what I want to say to that man. If there's a VA hospital near you, please go there. They'll tell you what's wrong. They told my husband he had Agent Orange. And all these things that was happening to his body came from Agent Orange. And that's the civilian doctors, they don't ask questions like the VA does. So I hope that young man goes to the VA and find out what's wrong with him. And one other thing I want to ask, how can I go to the stock meeting?
Well, when we're going to give all them instructions out, we're researching the companies, and that's why people ought to be at the Saturday rallies. And as we get the research and the dates, because most of the shareholders meetings start late October into November, we will be saying which shares we bought at what company and be distributing them to those that want to go and are trained how to deal with from the floor as a shareholder the question of DEI and all of that. It's going to be a process, but it's going to be one of the most effective things we've done. So just keep listening or be at the rallies. Thank you for being there. Thank you to our own attorney, Jennifer Jones Austin, our policy wonk. Let me thank all of you that called in, you that have written on the message board, called in, listened in, you that called in and couldn't get through, you that wrote a message and I didn't get to it. We love and appreciate all of you. And remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. I'll talk to you tomorrow.